Hermosa Beach. Do you ever play Hermosa Beach?
Not in a long time.
That owner has like archived every show of all time.
Oh, really?
I'm always like, what are you gonna do with it?
That's something I don't want to see. That
I don't want to see that.
Mine from like
exactly
10 years ago or something.
Sarah Colonna is here, ladies and gentlemen. Tell us about most recently. We're going to get into your life and your comedy, but you've been a Seattle Seahawks. Not even fan. What are you? Family?
Yeah.
Your family.
They call it a WAG.
A WAG?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what is that?
Wife and girlfriend.
A wife and girlfriend, correct. Yeah, you're a WAG.
It's something I learned just because they make a TV show about it called WAGs. It's the opposite of what it's really like, but it's fun to watch.
With all due respect to you and your husband,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it counts if it's the punter or the kicker.
I don't
does
know.
it?
I think
I'm
it
not,
does.
I'm not being. I was a punter and kicker.
Yeah. No,
But
I think it counts just
does.
because since he's been on there a long time, he has like more money than a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So I decided it goes by money.
It does go by money. We're talking about John Ryan. He's just punter.
He's the punter, yeah.
For the Seattle Seahawks.
Yes.
He's been there how many years?
This is his 9th.
I mean, punters get cut like fucking crazy. And
I know.
This guy is kicking ass on one of the best teams for 9 years.
Yeah. He was with Green Bay for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then cut and then went straight to Seattle, and now he's been there. And he just signed a 4-year contract last year.
Jesus
so,
Christ.
Yeah. It's
You
nice
gotta love
'cause
that.
I do. Yeah. Well, and it's awesome
Jeez.
because they can play for so much longer because
Yes.
they traditionally aren't supposed to get hurt as much, even though he
He gets crushed sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I always love a good trick question for sports douchebags is like, hey, who's the leading scorer in the NFL all time? And they always say like some running back. It's a fucking kicker.
Oh, right.
It's
true.
like the guy that's been kicking extra points for 75 years. you
Yeah.
know? Yeah, I love that. So, weirdly, I met John before. Well, no, that's not true. I did know you before I met John, but I was on a sports show and met John because I used to do a segment on promoting punters called This Week in Punting.
Oh, that's what, because he told me that you interviewed him, and I remember that we talked about it, but I couldn't recall what it was for. Okay.
I had a segment called This Week in Punting where I just like really enthusiastically shared the highlights of the week in punting.
That's
and
awesome.
And then it was the year that the Seahawks were in New York for the Super Bowl.
Right.
And we did some punting, so I met him there. But tell me again how you guys met.
Well, so that same year that we started talking after the NFC Championship game, Ross Matthews is a big Seahawks fan.
He is?
Yeah, huge.
Ross Matthews and football don't always line up with me.
No,
in my
not
brain.
in your
Yeah,
mind.
yeah.
It would never. And it's hilarious
Yeah,
because it's
it
like he's so passionate about it that it's awesome.
I'm learning that today.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And he was on the sidelines, and John used to watch Chelsea Lately. I was on that, and John went up to him and was like, I have a crush on Sarah Colonna. Will you introduce me?
I love this.
It's so random.
It's so fucking random.
Yeah, and at first I was, John. I think Ross said, you win. I'll give you her phone number, like her tweet or something, right?
Right.
And so,
which anyone can get your Twitter. It's not like
Right,
Ross
yeah.
was like holding back. If you guys win, I'll give you your Twitter.
I'll let you know what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
She's private.
Yeah, exactly.
So he ended up tweeting me after the game, and then I noticed he had written me before. So
Like
he
he
had,
tweeted,
tried to
tweeted to you, or he direct messaged you?
He tweeted to me.
Okay,
And
but
then-
you must get shitloads of this.
Well, I know. So I just thought, I was like, oh, gross, some athlete
Yeah.
trying to hit on me. Like, this is, and then I clicked on his page, and then I saw he had tried to write me like a while back.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, this guy's sort of like, I don't know. Well, let's just see, because Ross says, hey,
Right.
Ross texted me and was like, he does seem like a nice guy.
And
You
that's
do with it what you will.
That's the key, right? 'Cause
Yes.
if you hadn't heard from Ross about this guy, this piece.
Yeah, I don't
'Cause
think.
you get these things.
Yeah.
And you're on the show a lot. You were on the Chelsea. Like, how often were you on Chelsea?
Like every couple weeks.
Every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But Ross was the barrier that he broke the barrier down.
Yeah, I was like, okay, if you say he's a nice guy, Ross is, but Ross was also, I had to like take that into consideration
Yeah.
that he was like, I want season seats forever,
Right, right,
So
right.
I had to take into consideration his fandom.
Sure.
But
Sure.
then the more we talked, like as it does, it progressed into direct messages,
Of course, yeah. You go
slid
for it.
up into the DMs,
Slip in the DMs.
as they say, and
Yeah, that's funny.
and then to texting, and it was the week of the Super Bowl that they won, the good one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the good
where
one,
you
yeah.
met him.
Yeah.
And after the Super Bowl, all night he was just texting me. And I thought,
Where were you in LA?
yeah, I was in LA because we hadn't met in person yet. So I thought, well, this is an opportunity for a guy to walk around with like his dick out.
I mean,
Right?
if there's one night of the year
that
you could probably get some strange ass.
Right.
It's going to be after you win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the fact that he was just focused
Yeah.
on writing me, unless he was like on top of someone while he was doing
Right.
it, which
Yeah.
seems difficult. I was like, oh, this guy seems genuinely interested in me. And
Yeah.
he was, I don't know, I just liked his,
Yeah.
I don't know, I just liked the
You liked him.
conversations that we were having.
Yeah.
So then we ended up going out like a month later. He came to LA.
But that's interesting. And again, I didn't bring you here to talk about your relationship, but it is interesting.
Yeah, no,
Because I always wonder this with athletes and celebrities, and you guys fall under both. Like, for him just to fly to LA to see you, that's like a bigger commitment than just like, can you want to go grab coffee?
Yeah.
So-
Well, he was going to Disneyland with his family. So they were in Anaheim.
Okay.
It was like a planned trip with
Okay,
all
got
of his nieces and nephews. So then he took.
Is he Canadian?
He is.
Is he
yeah.
is he from like
Saskatchewan?
He's from like one of the worst. No, I'm meaning
Oh, it's terrible.
it's boring as shit up
It's
there.
called, the city's from is Regina.
I know Regina. I've played fucking
You have?
Yuck Yucks there.
They have a Yuck Yucks?
Yeah, they have
Wait,
a-
was it the bottom of like a Ramada Inn?
I think so.
I think it's closed now because
Oh.
someone told me about that.
Yeah.
Did you close it?
I closed it. They were like, if Michael Costa can't sell this place out, we don't know.
We just have
We
to
don't-
shut down.
Yeah, we have to shut down. Yeah, that's funny because I was going to ask you if you would ever play there.
I haven't.
Yeah.
I've done. He has a golf tournament there every
Cool.
year in
Yep.
June.
Yep.
And so I did something with that. Like we did like a
Oh, that's nice.
like I hosted something
yeah.
for the night before when they have all the people that donate a lot of money come, and they had a band, and I didn't really
Cool.
do stand. I just did a little more
Yeah.
like introductions
Yeah.
and stuff. But I would totally
Yeah.
perform there. It would be fun. I think I would do. I don't know.
I drove from Saskatoon to Regina, and it was like 3 hours maybe. And I was with this other comic, and he's like, "Hey, you see that little blip over there?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "That's where we're going." It was so flat.
It is. It's really
you could
flat.
see the fucking city that was 3 hours away.
Yeah, that's
It was nuts.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Actually,
I was like, "There's nothing here." Yeah.
I know he was worried that I was going to hate it, but I said, "Well, I'm from Arkansas, so
I was going to ask you where are you from in Arkansas?
in Fayetteville, but
Yeah.
that's where I went to college. But I grew up in
Okay.
Farmington, which is right outside of it. But it's
So these aren't entirely different cities.
no, it's like the Arkansas of Canada. Regina
This is
like the
crazy
same
that
thing.
you guys met. You're both high-profile people, and yet you meet, and it's like we're both from these shitty small places.
Yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of the same place.
Yeah.
It really felt like the same when I went there, except Arkansas is a little prettier. It has a couple
is.
hills,
It is pretty.
some mountains,
Yeah.
some things to look at besides just flatness.
And where does during the season he's got to live up there? Do you live up there? How does that
During
work?
this, we just do it back and forth. So this was the first year because we got married in July, and this
Okay.
was the first year I was there. Probably almost every home game, and then
Cool.
well, home games you can stay there longer. And then
Yeah.
I spent almost all of December because it gets like
Yep.
pretty slow. And then I had shows in Tacoma, which worked out nicely.
Perfect.
So that kind of has worked out. And then right
Yeah.
after we came back here, right after they lost in
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Was that a bummer?
Yeah, it was a bummer. It was fun to go to the playoff game. Actually, Russell Wilson chartered an Alaska flight for friends and family, which was
Jesus
super
Christ.
nice. I know. It was really, when I first got the email about it, I was like, is this real? Is this
a joke?
happening?
Yeah, it's so cool.
It was super nice. There was a bunch of Alaska employees on it, so I think he gets
Okay.
them.
Okay.
Because he's like their, I don't know,
yeah.
spokesperson
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
So it was nice, and we all got to go, and then
Cool.
we get our own tickets, but then it was fun to just be at a playoff game.
Yeah.
Was
Was that because you guys beat my Lions?
Yeah, that game was really fun.
That was fun for you.
Yeah.
That was fun for you.
Did you go to that game?
I didn't go to the game. I mean, but I watch, and as a Lions fan, I'm still just happy that we're ever in the postseason. I mean,
Yeah.
5 years ago we were 0-16. I mean, that no team has ever done that in NFL history. So,
Right. Well, that's a record.
it's cool. It's a record. It's cool. We hold a record. When is your birthday, Sarah?
December 29th.
Okay. Wow, right in that sweet spot
Yeah.
of just the black hole of
Of nobody
we don't
cares.
give a shit about you at all.
Yeah.
Ouch.
It feels like my family, my mom always kind of made an effort, though, to make sure I had a birthday.
Yeah.
Separate. She never gave me all my presents on. She never was like, oh, this is also your birthday
Right.
or whatever.
Right.
Until I
That's-
got older and didn't live there anymore, and she kind of had to.
Then it's like, we're sending you one package.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
for both of these things.
And good
Yes,
luck
we're
with
not-
that. Yeah. And then you kind of try to add up in your head if enough money was spent. 'Cause I have an older sister, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
well, she got 5 presents and I got 5, and that includes my birthday present. I got screwed.
And you do add up.
Yes.
Any American boy or girl, because I say American because we're so spoiled with Christmas
Right.
gifts. Like you add it up. Like you're like, Todd got a bike. That's and Todd's my brother. I used to always add up.
Yes.
So would they do like what did your family do for your birthday?
Well, there's my family is one of those families that there's always a cake, and everyone always comes over, aunts, uncles, cousins.
Okay.
Like there's always.
That's great.
For my entire life growing up. Not as much probably anymore, I guess, because they still do it some, but now there's cousins have the kids and there's just a lot more people.
Are they still in Arkansas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Everyone on my mom's side is in Arkansas.
Okay.
So yeah, we would do like a cake and and pizza.
Yeah.
With just the family. It was kind of nice looking back. I mean, I was always probably like, when you get into your teenage years, like, oh my God, I'm fucking hanging out with my family.
Yeah, I want to
like,
go hang with my friends. Why is my aunt coming over?
Yeah, I want to drink peach schnapps.
Yeah.
at my friend Amy's house.
Why is it always the hardest percentage alcohol that we would drink?
I don't know.
Do you get fucked up faster?
I think because in your mind, we didn't even know it was that.
Yeah.
I just thought, oh, it sounds delicious. It's peach.
Yeah.
And to this day, I can't smell anything
Oh my
peach
God.
without wanting to kill myself.
I mean, we used to do mint schnapps or maybe is schnapps mint? No, I mean
there's like Rumpelmans.
Rumpelmans, and it was just like really, as a beginning drinker, you should be drinking, beer 4%, 5%. But this is like 48%.
Yeah.
And it's really dangerous.
I actually started drinking a wild turkey when I was in high school.
Which is fucking terrible.
We saw it in Thelma and Louise.
Yeah.
They were drinking it. And so then my girlfriends and I were like, we drink wild turkey too.
Did you drink pretty hard in like high school and college and stuff?
I don't know if it was hard as much as it was just like on the weekends, if we could. There was, in Farmington, Arkansas, population like 1,200.
Wow.
We would go drink by a creek.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like obviously every night or anything like that. I'm sure way more than, someone my age should have.
Well, every town I go to, every person I talk to, it's like we go to the park and drink. We went to the creek and drink. We went to the dump. I mean, some people and I'm serious, Aaron. Some people go to the fucking dump to drink.
We used to go to the power lines, which now I'm like, was that safe?
No, it's not safe.
No.
I like that you laugh when I said dump, and then you told me you used to go to the power lines.
I know.
mean, Jesus Christ.
It's a step above. There's no trash at the power lines.
That's true.
Right.
What was a worse birthday that comes to mind when I ask you this?
It would be my 30th.
Okay.
So,
which is amazing because you're not even there yet.
Right. Yeah, it will be my 30th. No, it's so funny too because I was so depressed for 6 months before I turned 30.
Okay.
And I had two other friends turning 30 that same, one of them was in August, one of them was in October. And the only reason I didn't feel insane was because they were going through the same thing.
Right.
So I don't know if it's
Were you where were you at in your career at this point?
I was still bartending.
Okay.
So that wasn't helpful.
Where? I thought you were going to say like I was still on this show, and instead you're like I was still bartending. Yeah.
No, I was still bartending.
Yeah.
So I was working. I was doing stand-up, and I was getting, like hidden camera show stuff here and there, doing that kind of little, one-liners on shows. But I still had to bartend. To, I think people think when you're on TV, like, oh, she must be. It's like, no, you make $500 and then.
Dude, I'm when I first did the Tonight Show, the University of Illinois, my college, flew me back there, took me out to lunch, and said they needed money for a library.
Stop it.
And I was like, you guys, I made $800. Like I made $32,000 last year. They had no fucking clue.
It's insane.
They're in the middle of the cornfields. They think that you're like immediately a millionaire.
Yeah.
It's so
You're
funny.
like, no, I can barely pay my rent with that check.
I haven't paid taxes to the government in 10 years. That's how little money I make.
Right.
I love that. So,
Yeah.
So where are you bartending?
Formosa Cafe.
Love it.
Which
they just shut down.
I know. I used to read that. I knew it was probably coming because I've been friends now with. I worked there for like 7 years. So
I fucking love that place.
It was the best.
Yeah.
I'm sure you came in when I was there. I
Well,
mean,
that's
I worked
what's
there
funny
for a really long time.
is that I'm just now realizing that must have been the case. I used to live on Formosa and Fountain.
Okay, yeah, then you definitely.
And you were there for 7 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was the one that poured really strong drinks and then usually forgot to charge people.
Oh fuck! I wish I would have. I wish I would have found you. Oh man. Okay, so you're working at Formosa.
Yeah.
You're about to turn 30, but so are your friends. So it's not as bad.
It's not as bad because they're going through it too, and I just. It was one of those things where I've always been the person that put pressure on myself to wonder why I wasn't further along.
Sure.
I mean, and speaking of Formosa, when I got the writing job in Chelsea lately, I still tried to work there.
You
and
did.
My boss was like, Sarah, you're
You
not
have
going to
the
work. This is the job that takes you out.
Is that how you got on camera? You got on camera first through writing?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, no. Sorry. I got on Chelsea. I was on as a roundtable guest
Okay.
for about a year.
Got it.
Before they asked me to start writing.
Okay, got it. Okay,
So-
and then you took a full-time writing position.
Yeah.
And we're still trying to sling Stella's on
100%. Because that you have that mentality of you
Yes.
never know.
I love that.
The only thing I knew for sure was that I could
Yeah.
make my money on the weekends
Yeah.
for sure, and something else. And he was like, "You're not gonna work
Yeah.
5 days a week at a full-time job and then come
Yes.
here on the weekends. You're losing your mind. Like
Yeah.
you're too scared to say yes or something. It's bizarre."
Well, it's a sign to your work ethic, but it's also a sign of like how fickle we all know the business is.
Yeah.
That you're like, I'm not going to ruin my weekend spots. I'm making good money on the weekend.
Yeah.
So I can't give that up, and then Chelsea gets canceled, and now I'm got nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and he
shit.
was, if I got a gig on the weekend to do stand up or
Mm-hmm.
something, I could cover my shifts. Like it was just this sort of cushy little.
Yeah.
I wasn't there full time really
Yeah,
anymore,
yeah.
but I still could show up. And he was like, "You're officially not ever going to work here again. Just FYI. And even if you come crawling
Yeah,
back, I won't take
yeah.
you."
That was a big step.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Probably.
Probably.
It was.
Now you really have to fucking make it in comedy. right?
Yeah. It was helpful,
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, my 30th, I was just so, I don't know, it was about 6 months before that I started feeling really depressed. And
Mm-hmm.
I felt like, why am I still bartending? What have I done? I've been here I moved here right after college. So
Okay.
I was 21.
Yep.
And
It's a good amount of time.
yeah, I'd already been out 9 years. And sure, I'd been making progress and stuff, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And so, or it didn't feel like enough.
Where was Chelsea's show at this point? Like what season was it in?
Well, when I first got on it as a roundtable guest, it was in the first year.
Okay.
Like towards the end of the first year.
No one knew that this thing was going to go on forever and ever.
No,
of
no,
course,
no,
you never
definitely
know.
not.
Yeah.
No.
And I'm sure she'd had other failed projects, and you had as well. So you just kind of think,
Yeah.
okay, this could be a 6-week thing or whatever.
Yeah, but when I was 30, we weren't even. She wasn't on the show. She didn't have the show yet.
Okay. All right.
Because I'm 42 now. Which, by the way, my 40th was like a breeze. So it's so weird looking back that your
Right.
30th is so.
Yeah.
But I just think it gets in your head,
Yeah.
So. Chelsea and I were friends. We were doing stand up together.
Okay.
She was doing better than I was,
Okay.
and I think she was really close to it. But I only know because I remember I actually spent my 30th birthday watching her in New York do stand up at Caroline's. And then we went out afterwards, and I ended up like drunkenly eating pizza on a corner. And
But that's not
pretty
what
sure
you
I
wanted
cried.
to do on your 30th birthday.
No.
Yeah.
And not at all.
Right.
And the worst part was like, for the first, I don't know, I think, so one of my good friends she's exactly August 29th, so she's
Okay.
4 months before
Okay.
me. And she was one that was definitely going through it too. And
Okay.
she was just about to move back to New York. So I think
Okay.
that's why I ended up going out there.
Okay.
And then my other friend is in October.
Mm-hmm.
And so we decided to go to Cancun for quote unquote our birthdays in October.
Are you all single? Are you dating?
Yeah,
What's
single.
happening?
I was interested in I liked this guy who I ended up actually moving in with later
Okay.
in life, and then he was terrible. But I was single, and it's funny because I didn't really care about the single part. I cared about not having further along in my career part. I was
Career.
much more concerned about that and like, feeling shame if every time I went home for Christmas, because then my birthday's right at Christmas, and then I'm like,
yes.
everyone wants to know you're turning 30.
Yeah, yeah.
How's it
This
going
is
out there?
yeah.
And it's the worst feeling because
How long are you going to do this?
Yeah.
I always get that.
Oh.
Forever?
Yeah, this
that
is my job.
Is that a good answer?
Yeah.
Until I die? Yeah, but they don't get it.
No.
In real America.
No, they
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, they don't get it.
They just think you're a millionaire from your one
Yeah,
shot
from one
on
show.
Tonight Show.
So I always think it would be fun to be a pretty girl bartending in Hollywood who's single. And if you have two other friends doing it, was it a super fun time? Or was it now we're at the age where this is the hangovers are longer, not
It was
as fun?
It was fun. I mean, I would meet a lot of people. I definitely met a couple guys that
Sure,
way, but
sure.
you usually find out. Like I remember, there was this one guy who's become super successful since then.
Sure.
But
George Clooney.
He was definitely, and he was an out of work actor at the time. And he'd come into Formosa. He lived down Formosa Avenue as well, probably right by you. And he would come in all the time. And then we started, hanging out,
Sure.
hooking up, whatever. We were
Whatever you wanna
dating. He was he still is a super nice guy.
Yeah.
But when we quit seeing each other and he still came in all the time, I was like, oh, he's just an alcoholic.
Oh, this
this wasn't for me.
Right,
He wasn't in every night for me. And now he's in every night and then with like a new girl.
Yeah, and now it's like, you know the history.
Yeah.
She's trying to be nice to you and you're like, yeah, that is
then
funny.
it gets a little sad. Yeah. But
Right.
it was fine. It was just,
Yeah,
it's a little depressing to always, to get off at like 2 a.m. and your friends are always out on the weekends and you're always working and it starts to get a little bit like,
and
you feel like, how long am I going to do this? You feel that question.
People know you as, a lot of people know you as, oh, she's the bartender at Formosa, and you want them to know you as, oh, she's a successful stand-up writer, whatever. You know what I mean? Like they start knowing you for the thing that you don't want to be known for.
Right. And in fact, it was funny because I was doing this Scare Tactics, this hidden camera show.
That's the second time Sarah's brought up hidden camera shows.
Hidden camera, you
That's
guys.
a real passion.
In case anyone was wondering, looking for a hidden camera actress.
Yeah.
No, but people were like, we're actually kind of starting. Some people would be like, aren't you on that show? And then you'd be in this, and they would ask you again, why do you have to bartend if you're on that show?
Right,
I'm like,
right.
whatever. So it was that kind of thing was starting to happen a little bit, or people would see it at the Improv. But yeah, for the most part, it was like, they know you as, if they see me at the Improv, they know me as the bartender from Formosa.
You want them to know you. I drove from Ann Arbor, Michigan to L.A., and my first stop was my apartment on Formosa, and they didn't have the keys ready. So with my girlfriend at the time, I then drove to Formosa, parked my car. I'd been in Los Angeles for 4 minutes, okay? Literally. From Michigan, that's all I kind of knew. I walk in Formosa. The first person I see is Andy Dick, and he had a tether on his ankle, and he went up and he grabbed my nipples, and he said, like, this guy's cute, and it was like, where the fuck am I?
It's a pretty classic Formosa story.
Was he there a lot when you were there?
He was there a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was always somebody.
Yeah,
it seemed
of
like.
course.
But yeah, he was definitely.
I will never forget Formosa, and they just shut down. So, you guys decided to go to Cancun. Mm-hmm. Is that part of the worst birthday type?
A little bit.
Yeah.
It was. We went to some all-inclusive resort, and neither of us really know what we were doing, but it was probably our first sort of like vacation or whatever, and we had fun. I think the worst part of that vacation was was that I think we just wanted to do different things. I'm definitely more of a like, I just want to lay down and lay in a hammock and have a drink, and she was more of a like, let's go to the nightclub type person.
Right.
And I've never been that person, so. But you wanted
you wanted a day drink, she wanted a night drink?
Kind of, I think. I'm more of just I just don't like clubs and like big crowds.
Yeah, clubs.
So I think I hate people or something.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe.
Your stand-up.
That's probably
very
what
possible.
it is. But one day we decided to drive to see the ruins in Tulum.
Yeah. Okay.
And we went to go rent a car, and the guy renting us a car looked at her, and he goes, "Oh, your daughter?"
Oh, fuck. It's not helping.
And we're the same age, right?
helping.
And I mean, granted, there was a high period of time where I had a really unfortunate haircut.
Okay.
And I smoked a little bit.
Okay. You don't smoke anymore?
No.
Yeah.
No, probably right after that, I think is when I
Yeah,
quit.
I'm done smoking now.
Like here and there. I was never a real smoker, but here and there. But I definitely always looked older than I was in college, in everything. I never got carded. It was fun then. When you start to hit 30, it's not fun anymore.
Everything kind of starts to hurt a little more.
Yeah.
Like the body takes it like a drunk night. It's like a harder punch. It hurts longer. Yeah.
And you just wonder, and I just thought, I can't, I mean, surely I don't look like my 30-year-old friend's mother.
Wow, that really stuck with you.
It definitely
12 years
stuck with
later,
me.
you're telling me exactly how it went down.
Oh, I was so pissed off.
Yeah.
I looked at her, and then I know she was just like, "Oh God."
Oh shit. Was she like really young looking or really pretty, or you guys were comparable?
Comparable, but I guess she must have looked younger, at least to this guy.
Unless he fucked up his English. Maybe he meant to say sisters and instead he said daughter.
We can go with that.
Let's say that.
I don't think that's what happened.
Okay.
I certainly went. I think now I look my age, but when I was younger, I always looked older. It's almost like my age had to catch up with my face.
You have a mature aura. The curly hair always makes someone look a little bit older, I think.
Is that true?
I think so. Let's use it for
just
the podcast.
use it. Just make that up. Yeah. But I remember that being a certain low point on that vacation, just feeling like,
And your birthday was still coming up.
It's still coming up.
Yeah.
I still had 2 months to age more,
for
God knows what to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, it just didn't. It wasn't. I mean, I'm sure it sounds very ridiculous to be complaining about going to Cancun at 30 with my girlfriend, but we just didn't just didn't have a good time. It just wasn't. I was never in the right space that entire.
It's the wrong age
6
for
months.
Cancun, too.
Yes.
Cancun is like, that was my high school spring break.
Yeah.
You know?
You definitely don't feel. I guess that's exactly, because a lot of people going out are like 18.
I mean, I went to a foam party. You know, they shoot foam everywhere, and I remember like thinking I was fingering this girl in the foam party, but I could never be certain. You know, I was like, what is this? And I was like 17, and I'm like, did I just, you know, it's just disgusting is what it is. It's fucking disgusting.
That's amazing.
Yes, that's amazing.
I did give my number to a busboy named Pepe.
Oh, yeah.
Who continued to call me
Really?
when I got home. I think he was hoping I'd bring him into the country.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and we, I mean, literally never had a conversation because I didn't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
No, I just made out with him, and then at a bar, totally classy.
Yeah.
Make out session,
Yeah,
and then I guess gave him my phone number, and then received phone calls from him from a payphone for a while.
Oh,
yeah.
Fuck, that's funny. That's really funny.
It was pretty good.
That's really funny.
But I never knew what he said except for "Hola, this is Pepe."
This Pepe, or soy Pepe, not
Yes.
oi. So you get back to L.A. You've got a couple months till your birthday.
Yeah, and then I decided to go to see my other friend who had just turned 30. She was moving back to New York, and she had an apartment there. She had used to live there, and she had a place there. And it was...
Actress?
Yes, and stand-up, and her name's Joanna. And she and I, we made this whole trip planned where we went... She's a big Yankees fan, and she had just she had to put her dog down. So we took a trip in December to the old Yankee Stadium. Obviously, it wasn't open; it was closed, but it was, it was not during the season. So we took a tour.
A place to help her feel better about putting her dog down. A trip.
Well, we took the tour, and then we spread his ashes in the outfield
of the old Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, it was still the current one at the time,
right?
But it was just closed because it was December. Yes, we spread his ashes.
Wow, you can do that?
I don't think you're supposed to.
I don't think you're supposed to.
But we did. And there was a woman. I remember there was a woman sitting next to me in the dugout, and she had this like big coat on. And right as I went to like drop some ashes, a wind kicked up and they landed on her coat.
Oh, Jesus!
And I was like, I looked at my friend. I was like, Stevie's on her coat. I'm so sorry.
What kind of dog was Stevie?
I forget, to be
honest.
honest.
Was there a lot of ashes?
Not a lot. He was a smaller
dog.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton. We had little Ziploc bags of them, and we would each dip our hands in. And
did he love baseball?
She did.
She did.
Yes.
Exactly. That sums up a dog's existence so well. Like, you're going to be spread where your owner wants, where your owner's passionate about.
Yes. I think in her mind, Stevie loved baseball, so we'll just go with that.
Yeah, maybe they watch games. Yes, that's a hilarious story.
Yes.
I'm sure the groundskeeper did not appreciate that.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I remember Joanna thinking like, oh, they needed some help in the outfield, and so she put a few ashes out there, just anywhere they needed.
It's funny. It doesn't sound like a crazy actress at all.
Who had a hard time turning 30 as well.
Yeah. Shit.
So I just decided to stay in New York for a few days. I didn't want to be in Arkansas. I always go home for Christmas. I did not want to turn 30 in my mom's, in the small bed in like the guest room of my mom's house.
Right.
So I decided New York would just be fun.
Yeah.
You know?
It is fun.
We did that, and we, like I said, Chelsea at the time came out. She was opening for Dave Attell.
Okay, so was she famous yet?
She was like, she was close. I think her show started a year later.
Okay.
But she was working more. She was opening for Dave.
She was opening.
Yeah. And
okay.
And for some reason she was just like, I think it'll be fun if you want to come to New York. So the three of us actually ended up staying the night in my friend's apartment.
Okay.
Which was the smallest place you'll ever.
This is Joanna's place.
Yes.
Yep.
The tiniest. It's a New York apartment. It was smart of her to have it all these years. But
I'm sure
it was the tiniest place you'd ever see. So the three of us spent the night there.
Yeah.
And I mean, we went out obviously for our to see Chelsea open, and then we went out and Dave Attell was there, and some sort of German wrestler. We got I think this was when Dave was still doing his show, Insomniac.
Yeah. And he was probably drinking then.
Oh yeah, so it was like
mess,
everywhere we went, it was just drinks and a mess. It was fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually remember Dave Attell saying to me, it's your birthday and you look sad. And I thought, David he's telling me I look sad. I got to fucking smile.
If David Attell is telling you don't look good, that's not a problem.
Yeah. It was just sort of, I mean, I
you were at a crossroads in your life.
Yeah.
And
100%.
And the people were trying to have fun, and it's tough when you're in this self-evaluation phase.
Yeah. I just wasn't in a place to enjoy it. I just wasn't. I should have been, but I just wasn't enjoying it.
What came from all this, do you think?
Well, one thing that happened is then I turned 30 and I was like, well, okay.
Can't stop time.
It's nothing else.
Yeah.
It's just a birthday, really.
Yeah.
I will say that what came from it is later, when I turned 40, I assumed, well, God, am I going to have another full-on meltdown? Is it every decade? What happens? Because I actually do remember being a little depressed when I turned 25, too.
Okay.
But after 30, I never had a problem with any other birthday again. I thought 40 was the best. I was so excited to turn 40. I was like, I just wanted out of my 30s in some ways, I think.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, well, I don't know. I mean, my life's pretty good. I don't know if it would have been the same if I was still bartending at 40, how I might have felt.
Well, that's an interesting question because you've had career success. You're now married. Some of the big uncertainty questions that we have when we're young, when those get solved, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think so. I mean, I got engaged actually the day before I turned 40.
Okay.
We got engaged. But so I met but I only met him in February of that year.
Yeah.
But
okay.
It was never a relationship thing for me.
Okay.
I was always like, that'll happen when it happens.
Yeah.
The guy that I had liked
You're
when
right.
I was 30, he and I ended up moving in together later, and then I think I broke up with him when I was 35. And I just was like, I don't care about being. People will always ask you about being single. I don't care. And I was like, I'm not saying that because I'm mad. I genuinely don't care.
You're okay with that.
Yeah, it'll happen when it happens.
I love that. I think so many people get in these wrong situations because they're pressuring to be in a relationship. And it's like, just fucking let the world happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you'll find out. Because I think I probably, with this ex of mine, I thought, well, we have to move in together now because that's how it works. And then, and when I broke up with him, I was like, I can't believe I ever even wanted to live with him or thought about marrying him because it was just the wrong. It wasn't abusive or anything weird like that. It was just the wrong relationship. I realized he was completely unsupportive of my career.
Right.
He wanted to be a writer, and when I got a writing job, our relationship just
that's funny.
fell apart.
That's funny.
Yeah, but he was also someone who wrote on his laptop and never did anything with it. So you go
to any coffee shop and there's 40 people typing and I'm like, what are you guys all writing?
Yeah.
And I guess they're all writing, I guess.
But you gotta, once you finish that, you gotta send
do
it somewhere.
You can't just finish it.
Or you gotta do something, and he had a good voiceover career and did well for himself in that sense. So I never, I don't want to say I never understood why it was always a little unhappy, but I guess I do because maybe it wasn't what he wanted. But he had some success in his own right that he just seemed to not, he just wasn't a very happy person anyway. So I don't know why we're talking about that now.
Well, this is actually a relationship podcast hidden behind a birthday podcast.
Worst relationship ever podcast.
Would you, if I asked you like a great birthday, would you say it was the 40th then?
I mean, the 40th was definitely good because I was excited about it. And,
What'd you do?
Well, what did we do? You
got engaged.
So I got engaged the night before, which was
cool.
a little funny. I said to John, did you purposely just propose to me before I turned 40?
Yeah.
Just so I could say I got engaged in my 30s. But he just didn't. It was actually because since we hadn't, we'd been dating for a few, since February. So I had been to Arkansas and I flew the 28th or something. I flew in to Seattle to have our later Christmas, basically.
Yeah.
And then I found out while I was on the plane is when he called my mom and asked for permission. Because he
that's sweet.
Yeah, because he was afraid. He was so afraid someone would leak it to me. I guess he was afraid my mom would tell me.
Right.
So he didn't even ask her until that night.
Smart.
Yeah, and it was great. I mean, the proposal was awesome. So yeah, for my birthday, he ended up taking me out to.
You were in Seattle.
I was in Seattle. Okay. So good dinner, hung out. It was just it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah. This 30th birthday, did it kickstart you to push the career forward more, or did just the universe and the timing eventually happen in the 30s that things started to pick up, do you think?
I mean, things definitely started picking up. In my mind, I feel like I was always working hard and trying, but I guess there's always more you can do.
Sure.
And maybe I think I started figuring out more about, okay, it's not always writing more is going to help.
Stand up or
stand up
because you also write books.
Yeah.
Right. How many books do you have right now?
Two.
Two. Okay.
Yeah.
And your latest one was released when?
Last March.
Last March. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's titled what?
Has anyone seen my pants?
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And I'm actually just now writing with Demi Lovato. I'm writing her memoir.
Oh, cool.
Which is an interesting job.
Holy
It's something
shit.
I've never done before, is to write for someone else
Yeah.
in that capacity.
Yeah.
It's way different than like writing on a TV show,
Yeah.
Especially it's a 24-year-old pop star.
I mean, they're allowed to have a memoir?
I know.
They've done enough?
I know.
Yeah.
Well, she certainly has,
I'm sure.
as I've learned. It's actually a super fun,
Sure.
interesting project to do.
Is that done in person with her? Is it on the phone? She tells you these little anecdotes and you...
We sat in person. We would have sessions, and I would record them, and then and I was sort of learning as I went how to do this, but that seemed like the best way. Someone was like, "You should probably record the sessions, other than what am I going to do? Like try to keep up? I'm not that good of a typer." So I would record them, and then I would go home and write them up, and then it's definitely hard.
How did that job come about?
It was so random. It was this a friend of mine, Bob Reed, who you probably know from the Tonight Show.
Sure.
Her publisher reached out to him and just said, we're looking for someone who can write in this specific tone. And we just, she's going to meet a ghostwriter that's a professional. She's also going to meet like a teen fiction writer, and then she's going to meet someone, if you can suggest someone.
Yeah.
So then I sent her my book because he suggested me, and then she wrote me and was like, I think this is going to be a good match.
Isn't that so good?
Yeah, but I was like, I'll meet Demi Lovato at the Four Seasons for lunch, like just to see what this meeting's about.
Of course.
But this job's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And then she and I just really hit it off.
You actually liked her and vice versa.
Yeah, quite a bit.
And so good that you had a writing sample that was a book to send her. That's the other thing. It's not like you just had like monologue jokes or something.
Right.
Like you had a fucking book, that's amazing.
I wasn't sitting at Starbucks with nothing to show
exactly.
for it, right?
You fucking sent her something.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But writing more definitely, I think, made me realize, like, I had to get out of my head that everything had to be, I hate saying this too, because I feel like a lot of people think, well, stand-ups, if you want to just be on camera. But a lot of what I wanted to do had to do with on camera. I always wanted to merge those two worlds together. So I had to, especially when I took the writing job at Chelsea, I really had to remind myself, like, hey, you really love just writing too.
Yeah.
So
that's
if it's for
too.
someone else, that's okay.
Yeah.
And then the fact that I end up getting to write books out of it and stuff, and I actually really enjoy writing.
I mean, it's
a lot.
If you can remove your ego from it, like this person's the star, not me.
Yeah.
But know that I'm not telling you this. I'm also just, this is for me too. You're going to learn so much from writing for her. It's only going to help your next book.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
1,000,000%. And now you got a story in the book about writing for Demi Lovato.
Right.
That's cool. And you got paid for it.
Yeah.
That's great. How do I write a book quickly? Because if I wanted to do one, what's your advice for me?
It just, you just have to sit down a lot.
And just write it.
You have to write it.
What do you type it?
That's one of the hardest things. Yeah, on my computer. I just on Word.
And Word. So nuts. So wait, are you telling me it's hard work?
I think it is.
I can't just buy the software?
It's really, it's a lot. It's very time consuming for sure.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times that I would think, I would just know my computer was like on the desk.
Yeah.
And the first one I wrote when I was still full time at Chelsea. So it was a little bit of a challenge to make yourself sit down a certain amount every night and just be like, but if I am given a deadline, then I'll meet it. So that's the best thing I can tell you is
give yourself
if you're a deadline person,
give yourself one.
Yeah.
Yep. Did anybody sing you happy birthday on your 30th that you can remember?
My dad always calls and sings me happy birthday.
Like over the phone?
Yeah.
Like kind of awkwardly?
Kind of awkwardly, probably with a few drinks in him. Yeah. I usually just let it go to voicemail. No, he's actually in Palm Desert.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I grew up coming out to Orange County all the time because he lived out here. So at least I had some kind of family when I moved out here.
That's
even if
nice.
It was in Orange County.
That's nice. Besides
something.
The Formosa family.
I know. Well, it's funny because that's how you make. I mean, just like stand-up, but you usually meet other stand-ups when you're waiting tables and bartending because we're all doing that.
Yeah.
So that is like Chris Frangiola and I worked together at Mirabelle, which is this restaurant on Sunset, and he's like one of the first people I ever met when I moved out here.
Isn't that so funny?
Yeah, and then he's ended up writing with him on a show years later.
That's
so it's
crazy.
random.
It seems like the Chelsea community all knows and likes each other for the most part. There's always a couple people I'm sure that don't, but it seems like you guys are all laughing together a lot.
Well, what's cool is you just meet a lot of kicking around town.
Yeah,
but being around
Sarah.
town, I know.
1971.
I know, she's kicking around. Yeah. You always obviously get to know a lot of comics here, but I started doing stand-up out here, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Did you start?
I started in Michigan.
Yeah. It's California's a weird place to start it.
We just had Erica Rhodes on. She started here. I'm like, you guys are fucking out of your mind starting here.
I know, but it's ignorance is bliss. You don't know. I mean, I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
We didn't even have comedy clubs in Fayetteville.
Right.
So
true.
I just had
Fayetteville ha-ha pants.
Yeah, they didn't even have that. They must have something now. But But they didn't even have that, or even coffee shops or anything. So to me, it was like, well, that's where you start. And now I know that it's a terrible place to start comedy.
It doesn't matter,
But you just meet so many people. So between that and waiting tables, you do feel a little bit like you have people that are going through it with you, which is helpful.
Yeah. Sarah Colonna, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for sharing your worst birthday.
No problem. Thanks for making me relive it.
I know, yeah. I know. It's kind of like a lot of what I do is make people feel super shitty about something. Where can everybody find your book and all of your information?
On sarahcolonna.com.
Okay.
It's COLONNA at Sarah Colonna. And on Twitter. And then on my tour dates and my links to all my books. And all that.
Thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. We did it. Thanks, Sarah. That's great.